Do you drink coffee? And can coffee actually be healthy? The answer is a huge yes. Today on Zestology, we are drinking healthy coffee whilst biohacking. It's coffee and biohacking. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements, and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality, and motivation. Yes, today, coffee and biohacking with Alex Higham, who I've just spent the weekend hanging out with at the Health Optimization Summit. We recorded this podcast a few days later. It was so much fun, the summit, and I know I've spoken about it a little bit already, but a meeting of healthy minds from all over Britain and Europe, it has to be said, in London. So very close to me and very convenient for me. And Alex and I've been drinking Exhale coffee for a while, and Alex and I said, great, let's take 20 minutes over the weekend and record a podcast. And I was so busy because I was hosting the stage and I also spoke. And every time I saw Alex, he was surrounded by people and we didn't really have time. So we've done it online instead and reminisced a little bit about the event, as well as talked about coffee and biohacking. Alex is an Ironman, marathon swimmer, ultrarunner, Thai boxer, surfer, and a lifelong backpacker, riddled with health issues, on a mission to see how much one broken, sleep-deprived dad can achieve through living a healthier life. And he really is inspiring. I felt very inspired just talking to him. And his brand, his coffee brand, is called Exhale Coffee. And breaking news, it's available in the States as well as the UK. He'll tell you how later in this podcast. Very fine coffee it is too, born out of an obsession for coffee, for health and for fitness, and his passion for helping others by combining all three as well. I'll give you the discount code again at the end, but if you go to their site and you want to try a bag for free, it's Tony Wrighton. Just use my all one word, my name, Tony Wrighton. You can try a bag for free, but I'll give you the full details at the end of the podcast. For now though, let's talk coffee and biohacking with Alex Higham. Alex, we are recording. How you doing?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. We've just been nattering for so long before we started the podcast. I thought we've got to actually start recording, otherwise we'll never get any of this recorded. It was great to hang out with you at the weekend. To prepare, I have my coffee ready, and actually just took some of your beans just in delivery this morning, which is excellent. Also got some hydration water here. And I'm ready to go. I needed to sort of look after myself after the weekend. It was the Health Optimization Summit was good fun, wasn't it? And a big event.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was kind of really good to be amongst people who really get it, who really are the early adopters and thought leaders in kind of health and wellness, who we go to loads of events, and I've put kind of 6 or 7 years of research into this business, but mainly the conversations they have are only so kind of shallow and barely even kind of dig into any of the science at all. But here it was really like every conversation had a new angle, talking about autophagy or caffeine and mitochondria or whatever, So it was great for me to really geek out for once on the science of it.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, that's really good to know that people, it did feel like quite an advanced crowd. And I personally felt like it was really nice to hang out with people who are a bit weird like me as well. Because I know when I go out with my mates, they roll my eyes when I ask for the gluten-free menu. I get out my supplements. Oh, in fact, it just reminds me, I've got loads of supplements to take right now. Look. At them sitting on the table.
It was when finally I pulled out of my pocket my kind of, when we went for lunch with a few of the guys who came to join us on the stand, I pulled out of my pocket my standard supplements I have when I have a lunch out, and for once it didn't feel like I'd have anyone laugh at me or mock me for it.
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I want to talk about, there's loads of stuff I want to talk about. I know you're a bit of a biohacker yourself, and I know you're doing this massive run very soon, which I want to talk to you about as well, because one of the things I felt very inspired about hanging around all those very healthy people over the weekend was this idea of just working as much movement into your day as possible, and how you can do that when you run a business that you and I need to spend a lot of time in front of our screens. And here we are spending time in front of our screens now.
No, exactly. I think that's kind of the key, is to try and keep moving. So there's so many things so basically, I'm doing this 100-mile ultra a week on Saturday. It's my first 100-miler. And one of the biggest challenges is just spending that amount of time on your feet. Like, it'll probably take me 24 hours of continual running, or crawling at times, maybe. But I've basically, one of the things I've done over the last year is switched my desk to a standing desk. Even though I'm sitting now, I'll normally be standing, and I try and take as many work calls as possible while walking. So I'll walk laps of our park on business calls and stuff. So literally just try and keep on moving as much as possible is key, definitely.
Yeah. But there's still some work that just needs to be done on a laptop. Whether you're standing or sitting, you're still really not very moving around very much. But one of the things that Ben Greenfield mentioned in his talk was he goes for a walk and takes calls like you do, and he takes light hand weights with him. So I've done that the last couple of days, and I thought that's a good one, because I like to go for walks a lot, and I do need, to move as much as possible. So I took 2 kg weights in each hand yesterday and 4 kilogram weights today in each hand. And I felt it was a good workout, actually. I look very strange walking around my neighborhood with weights in each hand, but I'm willing to take that.
No, definitely. And I've kind of, I walk barefoot as much as possible, and try and go fully barefoot to try and mainly to try and strengthen all the muscles up in my feet to help for the long distance running. But then also it seems that there's some other benefits, so I'm grounding and earthing and everything. But like I get so many weird looks from people. Like when I'm dropping the kids off at nursery, walking through barefoot, and all the other parents are laughing at me, and like all the mums are texting the missus saying, "Oh, you make him wash his feet when he gets home."
That is brilliant. What shoes do you wear when you run 100 miles?
So I live in Vivo barefoot, except when I'm running is the only time. If I'm running for 24 hours, I just get the most uber cushioned shoes I can. Yeah. But I use Brooks Ghost because they do really wide settings, right? Or really wide fittings. So because of wearing Vivos and stuff, my feet are like big wide troll feet. So Brooks are the only ones that do wide enough running trainers for me. Yeah. No, I agree. I've always liked minimal footwear, but more recently, I am prone to slightly dodgy knees. And I did this. Did I tell you I did this walking challenge a few weeks ago? Yeah. The Yorkshire 3P. And actually, that was brilliant. That was nothing like what you're doing, but so much fun. And I think I said to you, the runners that go past you, I don't know how you guys do it in terms of your ankles, because this is uneven ground and you're just sprinting along, and presumably quite a bit of your running is in the middle of the night as well. So exactly. Yeah. So it'll be in pitch black, but I said I've got a standing desk, but I also have one of these which I stand on sometimes at the standing, just to make it even more difficult. So like for people who can't see, it's a balance wobble board type thing to strengthen your ankles. But yeah, basically the idea is to do as much off-season running or walking on uneven surfaces as possible. So all winter I'm running. I go to our local park, and instead of running on the paths, I run on the grass and trudge through all the mud puddles and everything, and that kind of uneven surfaces just strengthen up your knees and ankles. And over the years, they become, pretty bulletproof, touch wood. That's great. Now, the other thing that I've been using, we're going to get onto coffee in a sec. Yeah. But, I've been using these insoles called Enator. Have you heard of them? No, I haven't. My goodness, it is a complete game changer for me. But weirdly enough, I'm not sure if it's necessarily the sort of thing that you would see at something like the Health Optimization Summit, because what they do is normally when you're running or walking, the shock is absorbed through your body. So it goes up through your ankles, through your knees, and through your spine. But what Enator have done, and their main brand ambassador is Usain Bolt, so they're aiming big, and they're very expensive, these soles. And what they do is they send all of the shock out to the sides. And so I've always been, I did the 3 Peaks 4 years ago, the National 3 Peaks, and I really ached afterwards. And after the Yorkshire 3 Peaks, I felt fine.
I mean, I wouldn't say I felt fresh as a daisy, but I felt fine. And all my mates, who are, some of them are, you know, seriously sort of quite hardcore, I felt like I felt better than them. And I really put it down to, I think the baseline fitness is okay, but then these soles are pretty good. It's just very padded. So it's the opposite of walking around with Vivo barefoot.
It's so interesting because like we've spent, like me and my wife just spent over 5 years traveling the globe, and we've traveled through every corner of the planet, and we've stayed with so many like random tribes in the middle of jungles, from the Amazon to Indonesian jungles to Borneo to here, there, and everywhere. And like everywhere we go, it just seems that all the guides and all the locals are just running around barefoot through, kind of skipping over fallen down trees and over surfaces that we just kind of, you know, and we'd follow them, and we'd have these big thick hiking boots on that protect your ankles, protect your feet, and all of this stuff. And these guys are just like, they just don't need any of that. And then you get back to the house in the evening and we're knackered, and they sit on wooden floors and then sleep on wooden floors. And it's just kind of, it made me feel like such an absolute wimp. So over the years, I've just taken massive inspiration from those and realized that actually our bodies are meant to do, we are meant to be able to do a lot more than we give it credit for. So so it's just, and it's a really slow process to unwind all of the wrong that we did as kids and teenagers and stuff. And then, but over years, I think you can get that resistance back in your body, that resilience.
Yeah, I agree. I certainly know that I wasn't wearing minimalist footwear as a teenager, and that may have been part of the problem. But yes, we can unwind it. And then I take great pleasure in biohacking my son and giving him Vivo barefoots as well, which is very expensive, isn't it, Alex?
Literally, we've been talking about that all week. After coming back from the Health Optimization Summit, like me and Kirsty have been saying, we really need to start buying the kids barefoot shoes. But we kind of, we're a bit too tight because they are so expensive and they grow out of them so quickly. So we're trying to find like a cheaper brand, maybe.
Well, how old's your youngest? Because we can hand down some of ours to yours.
We've got a 4 and 7-year-old.
Oh no, he's older. Oh, yours are older than ours. Oh, what a shame. Okay, well, you can get them and hand them down to us then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But because I've even tried to get them secondhand because I'm tight, you know, I'm quite happy to. But even secondhand, they're so expensive or quite hard.
I think kids wear through trainers so quickly as well, and kind of barefoot trainers especially aren't as strong as most. So
yeah. There's a company called Splay Shoes that sell really nice barefoot trainers. They're based in America, so you're going to have to get them sent over, but they are cheaper than Vivos.
I've also been looking into getting some earth runners since the show.
Yeah.
Because
what are those?
So they're these sandals, which are earthing sandals, but a lot of people have started running in them as well. And there's 2 people in our team who use them just in day-to-day life, like Alex Manos, who's our Chief Wellness Officer.
Oh yeah.
And they have this really minimal strap along the top of them, which is based on some is it the Humaza tribe or someone? I'm not sure. Right. These kind of the original endurance runners. But yeah, I've seen people running ultra marathons, 50 miles plus in these sandals.
No way.
Yeah.
They're just little flimsy little, they look like a thong flip flop, but they've just got one little strap that goes around the side.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just can't imagine it. I think that would take years to build up to, but I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah.
I love a challenge like that.
Oh, it's brilliant. And your team is serving coffees at this 100-mile race as well, are they?
Yeah, well, I've dragged our operations manager along. He has to get up at 3:00 in the morning to be at the start line. I don't think he's too happy with me dragging him along to it. But anyway, we'll be there serving coffees for all the runners before they start.
Brilliant. Interrupting this podcast for one moment to remind you that today's podcast partners are Magnesium Breakthrough. And I have been partnering with Magnesium Breakthrough for quite a while now. Over a couple of years actually, and always so pleased that I only partner with products that I actually use. But I've got some sort of hot off the press news because Magnesium Breakthrough has a new formula. Yes, a completely new formula for Magnesium Breakthrough. It is the 4th generation formula. It means it's now even more potent and effective for reducing stress, improving sleep, and boosting energy levels. The reason it's good is because they already have the full spectrum of different types of magnesium in there. But now they've got cofactors that help with the absorption of magnesium. So B6 and manganese and others as well. So if you've never tried Magnesium Breakthrough, now is the perfect time to try it. It is for the deepest healing of many health problems, and 75% of people are not getting enough magnesium. So it can help you sleep longer and deeper, reduce stress levels, give you abundant all-day energy. This podcast is all about energy. I definitely notice when I take less magnesium, I feel a little bit dehydrated as well, and I don't sleep as well. So I take it twice a day, normally one after lunch and one at night, although a lot of people just take it at night. Simply take 2 capsules before bed, or like me, one after lunch, and see how you feel. Go to magbreakthrough.com/zestology, use the code zestology10 during checkout to save 10% off and get free shipping as well. And if you're in the UK, you can use the code zestology10 on the Bioptimizers UK site, and that will work for all their products. See how you go with the new formula. It is the new Magnesium Breakthrough, magbreakthrough.com/zestology. That's it. Back to the show. I'm loving Exhale coffee, and I really think it's great. And for years, I've been drinking the purest coffee I can find, and on a bit of a mission to find good stuff. And often it's the case that in this country, you're not able to get coffee of the same quality as in the States, which is why I was so pleased and excited to find you. I'd love to know a little bit about your philosophy, but also you said 6 or 7 years of work have gone into the business. So I don't know much about your background. How's it all come about, and why should people be interested in coffee that isn't Starbucks?
So it all started for me around about 7 years ago when I was an accountant for 15 years before launching this business. So I launched the business a year and a half ago. For 15 years before that, I was an accountant, and I was kind of, as a deeply unfulfilled accountant, it was very much the wrong career for me. And then around 7 years ago, my health started nosediving, started getting loads of weird and wonderful health issues. And, I was getting all the usual brain fog and fatigue and stomach issues and some other histamine related issues I may come on to. But I didn't realize at the time I started developing an autoimmune condition, potentially kind of caused by some gut issues. And my life just started kind of just getting less and less fun. And I decided that I needed to make a change, and I wanted to get out of the accounting job. I wanted to launch my own business, and I'd always been really obsessed with coffee. I'd always been really into sports and was getting more and more into endurance sports. So I wanted a business that combined coffee and endurance sports, so like a coffee brand for athletes. And then the more I read and researched about my own health issues and about how to become a better athlete, I realized that coffee could not only help support your performance, but also could really support your health and wellness overall as well. And then it was about 3 or 4 years ago that the idea came up for the healthy coffee targeted at athletes, basically, which combined all of my 3 obsessions in life.
Yeah, great.
And then we launched about a year and a half ago in lockdown. So it's been a roller coaster since then.
Yeah. Well, at that point, that was probably quite a good time to launch, wasn't it? Because everybody was at home. That was certainly when we bought our posh coffee machine. Yeah,
it was. A lot more people were buying kind of online, basically, which helped. Although, I quit work in 2020, in February 2020. 3 weeks. So finally, after years of planning, plucked up the courage to quit work, February 2020, and then 3 weeks after quitting work, lockdown number 1 happened, and I was meant to move into a warehouse to open a roastery in Tottenham. But then lockdown happened, the roastery move got pushed back again, and then finally fell through. So it looked like the whole business wasn't going to happen. And the first 6 months of lockdown was just a real battle just to get it off the ground. And meanwhile, we'd had a 25 grand roaster, custom built in Germany to our specifications, big 1 ton piece of machinery that was delivered with nowhere to put it. So we had to put it in our shed, and it sat there gathering dust for about a year before we finally sold it. So then we finally launched in October of 2020. So it was kind of, we repivoted the business to be more direct to consumer online to kind of reflect the market at the time, because there was no cafes, there was no shops open. So it was kind of, I had no choice, but then we've really embraced that now. And that's all we do basically.
Yeah. Is it going well? Because it seems to me like it is.
Yeah, no, it's going really well. It's going really, really well. It's kind of, things are flying up. It's a real baptism of fire for me, because as an accountant, I had no experience of running an e-commerce food business at all. So I've kind of, the momentum of the business has picked up so quickly that I've had to learn on the job, and it's going really well, but it's been a fast, steep learning curve for me, definitely. Yeah.
And what is your pitch? I feel like I am sold on the benefits of organic, healthy coffee, tested coffee, but what's the 1 or 2 line pitch to people who may think, my mates, for example, who they're quite into health, they like doing a lot of sporty stuff like you, but they're probably, not that fussed about organic coffee at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess there's 2 different sides depending on who we're talking to. So there's one pitch for people who are into performance and that sort of things, but for kind of people into their health, we basically just say that we offer a ridiculously healthy coffee, but to make it healthy, we don't add anything to it and we don't chemically modify it in any way. But we've basically tested 45 different coffees from around the globe to find one that's naturally highest in antioxidants, polyphenols, certain vitamins, than any other. And then we took that winning coffee to the roastery, roasted it loads of different ways to lock in as much of that natural goodness that's naturally in the coffee already as possible. And then it's also organic and tested free from mycotoxins, pesticides, and any of the bad stuff. So basically none of the bad stuff, more of the good stuff you can get in coffee. Yeah. And the whole process involved 9 different independent lab tests to get to that point.
Yeah, and that's excellent. And then when you look at my side project, you mentioned Histamine a few moments ago, my side project, and it's really just a passion project, is that I run the Histamine Intolerance site and the Instagram page as well. And coffee is always the topic that gets the most comments, the most likes, and the most reads. And I think it's our best viewed page on Google as well, because coffee, firstly, is so important to us all, but secondly, splits people right down the middle. And if you're not that sensitive, this won't mean much to you, but if you're sensitive and you react to various foods and you've got triggers, well, people with histamine intolerance are split right down the middle over whether coffee actually suits them or not. So a purer coffee that's been tested, that's organic, that doesn't, very important, that doesn't have the pesticides, doesn't have the mold in it, that's really important for somebody who's a little bit more sensitive. And unfortunately, that's me.
And me, guilty as charged. Yeah. No, it's really important. And I guess it's, like you say, how most people react with coffee and a histamine level is so, it so varies. And there's so much else that goes on in your life and diet that probably play into that. But I guess there's 2 ways that coffee can affect histamine. So the caffeine, so the coffee isn't naturally high in histamines per se, but it's the caffeine in coffee which can affect your DAO enzymes in your body, which metabolize and break down histamines. So caffeine kind of hinders your body's ability to clear histamines. So someone who is really reactive to coffee, I suggest try and decaf and see how you react with decaf. But as well as the caffeine side of things, and that isn't an issue for everybody, as well as caffeine, there's the mycotoxins and the pesticide side of things. So for most of the life of this business and most of my research has been on talking about coffee in a positive light and all the wonderful benefits it can bring to your life, and all the associated reductions with all sorts of different diseases that it has. But then I've recently started researching the mycotoxin side and pesticide side, and it does appear that it is more of an issue, especially for certain people. And if you have any kind of histamine intolerance, basically, so coffee there's some studies which show coffee can contribute up to 12% of your total exposure to mycotoxins. So mycotoxins are floating everywhere in the atmosphere. They're in everything you eat, everything you touch, there's molds and mycotoxins on. Some small amount of exposure is totally fine, but coffee can be particularly high in them, can be up to 12% of your total exposure. So really, as someone who, and when your body kind of consumes mycotoxins and molds, then your mast cells release histamine, and that's your body's way of fighting those and counteracting the mycotoxins. So you have a histamine reaction to mycotoxins in coffee and foods. Coffee can be quite a high source of them. So you are best definitely looking for a mycotoxin-free coffee.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really, I could probably speak about that particular topic for quite a long time, but it's quite a deep topic, really.
No, and then listen, I know that I react differently to different coffees. I just do. Yeah. And especially if I'm I've spoken about this before, but if I went on holiday and they had a Nespresso machine in the room, and I was like, great, I can have a nice coffee every day and it's free. And I started getting quite bad histamine symptoms. And I think it was either the quality of the coffee, but possibly the plastic that contains the coffee in the Nespresso capsules being heated up very hot and then leaching into the coffee, or the chemicals. Don't really know.
Also, I think it's to do with the freshness of coffee. So if you use capsules, that coffee could have been roasted and ground months before you're using it. So to really minimize the effects on your histamine levels, you need to drink freshly roasted and ideally freshly ground coffee if you can.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense, because obviously one of the things you really avoid with histamine is leftovers. Exactly. And so something that's been out a long time, like coffee that's been ground months ago, is sort of that, isn't it?
Definitely. But the whole histamine thing, it is obviously it is so complex. And I've spent years kind of cutting out different foods, and some of my favorite foods that kind of add so much more benefit psychologically and on a health level into your life, and trying to cut things out. And I think I've come to realize over the years that it's just about your total exposure. So just cutting out coffee is not going to solve your histamine intolerance issues. And if you really love coffee, it's likely to make you quite unhappy in the process. And I've had that with so many foods I've cut out of my diet. But I just know that overall, I'm quite careful to minimize my exposure. And that means that I can drink coffee and I can do all of these other things,
It's
definitely.
So complex. Definitely. Yeah. Unfortunately, red wine has stayed out of my diet. I am very sensitive to that, but I can tolerate the odd tequila, so that's okay. And then
I came back from Mexico, ruined me. I went to Mexico in February for 2 weeks, and we drank some tequila cocktails at sunset, and it was just so nice. But then I had a mast cell activation syndrome, and my face swelled up on holiday. I think you might have seen the pictures. I probably can't tolerate the odd tequila.
No, it's have you tried taking Dow enzyme or a product like Histamine Block Plus before you drink?
I do now, every time now. That's part of my arsenal. Every time I go out for a drink, I'll have Dow enzymes. They're a game changer. So good.
Great. I fantasize at some point about doing an event on a much smaller scale than Tim's Health Optimization Summit, but just on histamine, where we serve low histamine food to everybody, and we serve them low histamine coffee. Problem is, everybody's different, aren't they? So somebody would say, "Oh, I'm having a massive reaction."
Exactly. I think it's there's probably something in that, because more and more people are contacting us now and asking us about histamines. So I think it's getting really a lot more attention than it used to. I'd never heard of it 2 or 3 years ago. It's a lot more in the spotlight now.
Yeah, certainly. I think I'm certain that I've been suffering from histamine intolerance longer than the phrase has been in existence.
Exactly. Definitely.
So I'm just fascinated that the business is doing so well. I ran a business a while back, on the side with a friend, and we sold MCT oil. And we also did a few other products, and we looked at selling healthy coffee. And it just looked to me like it was a complicated business to get right.
It's really complicated. That's why it took years. It took me years just to find the labs to do the testing. And we used 3 different labs across Europe, which was so hard to find to do the testing. And then just the legalities of being able to call it a healthy coffee. I spoke to so many different lawyers to just figure out exactly what health claims we can and can't make, because it's so strictly regulated. So it's a total minefield. But also kind of one thing that's really helped us, I think, is the brand that we're building as well. So the healthy coffee thing, on the face of it could have been easy for us just to go down a kind of quite a sterile brand route and just go quite clinical, scientific, healthy coffee. But I've tried to just inject a bit of fun into the brand and a bit of personality. And if you look at our Instagram, it's just all kind of me and the missus goofing around, but also at the same time putting out some serious educational content and doing some serious ultra runs and events like that. But at the same time, doing it all in quite a humble, self-deprecating kind of way, and people just kind of relate to it. So it's kind of I think the brand has definitely helped the business grow.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's
just don't take it too seriously.
Oh, definitely. No. So now, before you go, you are inspiring me quite a bit because you've got a young family and yet you travel a lot. Are we allowed to talk about your big move?
We are, yes, definitely. Yeah.
So what's happening?
So, yeah, like I said before, we've spent kind of over 5 years traveling. We've done 5 long stints away, me and my wife, and it's like a passion of ours. But then the last 3 or 4 years, maybe the last 3 years, we've been in England. And yet now we've launched this business, which is all about promoting an active outdoors, healthy lifestyle and going after your dreams and just believing that you can do anything and achieve anything. Yet we find ourselves sat in our sitting room, really stressed, working all hours that God send, not really living the dream that we're advocating. So we've decided to kind of like be the change, make a change in our lives. And we're moving to Portugal in August to run the business from there. Certainly for the winters. So the idea is to spend maybe 9 months in Portugal. I also have pretty bad kind of rheumatoid arthritis or psoriasis, some kind of autoimmune arthritis, basically, it's been narrowed down to. So in the winter, I can barely move my fingers, it's pretty awful.
Wow.
So moving to the Algarve and then coming back for like 3 months in the summer for event season. So just to really kind of take life by the balls and do something something exciting.
Great. because we've long fantasized after doing something similar, and of course it's not as straightforward when you've got little people in tow, is it?
No, exactly. But like we've found a place in Portugal with some amazing international schools and yeah, I mean, the other thing is it's not as straightforward now we've left the EU. So it's been so many loopholes to jump through to get visas. Portugal is one of the more relaxed ones, but it's so hard to move over there. Gone are the days where you could just hop over. Yeah. But now it's like so many people kind of have kids and then their life just goes on hold indefinitely. And when we had both of our 2 babies, we went traveling in Kirsty's maternity leave. So the first one, we spent 4 months around Southeast Asia. And the second baby, when she was 4 months old, we spent 6 months traveling around Central America with her. So it's we're kind of trying to, I don't know, help inspire other parents as well, just to like have kids and then just carry on doing the things you love, really. Yeah.
Oh, and on that theme, did I tell you our plan of going to Southeast Asia this winter?
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah. We're hoping to go for 3 months. Preschool for Stan. So we can get over there for a few months before having to worry about school. And like you, I mean, just thought, well, we can. It's the first time I've not worked in TV and I'm able to run my business from anywhere. Same with Faith. And we thought, well, we could just go over there for 3 months. So I think that's almost certainly going to happen.
Where in particular? Do you know where?
We've got a friend in Koh Phangan, not the full moon party part, I might add, but the quiet.
You did tell me this.
But maybe Koh Phangan, Koh Samui. Again, they've got great international childcare, not schools but childcare. So that's the loose plan, and we'll see how. I met
a guy at the Health Optimization Summit who lived in Vietnam, and he ran his English business from Vietnam. And he said it was amazing because those kind of first 4 or 5 hours of the day after he woke up in Vietnam was nighttime in England. So he got so much work done and he was so productive because his kind of DMs and emails and WhatsApp was all silent. And as soon as everyone wakes up, your day is just about firefighting and kind of dealing with issues and responding to people. But having that kind of, so I came away thinking maybe I'm moving to the wrong country, to Portugal. I need one a couple of hours away in time zone to benefit from sleep time.
Yeah, but I would love to start early and get the bulk of the work out of the day early. But of course, again, it's a children thing. You don't have the time in the morning you can't just sort of start at 7 o'clock in the morning the moment you wake up in your pajamas in bed. You just can't do that, can you?
No, I'm quite lucky. Our kids wake up at 8.
Do they? Great.
Yeah. Or if they wake up before, they know there's a rule in the house where they just have to stay away from us until 8 anyway.
That's great.
And I basically wake up at 6 and I have 2 hours to kind of get some work done, go for a long run, do a gym workout in the sitting room. And occasionally our 7-year-old will come and sit with me and just kind of chat or just sit and just stare at me like I'm a madman. But yeah, in general, those 2 hours in the morning are precious. Treasure.
That's great. I mean, I'm thinking the logistics of that. I just can't quite see that it would work, but maybe give him a year when he's 4 and that it might work then.
Exactly. And then you just kind of, it's about just getting some like seriously entertaining toys in their bedroom. So they kind of they can spend an hour entertaining themselves before they come disturb you.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, you are a real inspiration, Alex. There's 2 questions that I've asked everybody. What is one book that you would recommend and one tip for living with more energy? So one book and one tip.
I would recommend, is it Let My People Surf by Yvonne Chouinard? And I find that, so he's the founder of Patagonia, and he's just I find it so inspirational as how he built the business and how he did such game-changing things around supporting the welfare of his staff and the planet, and from things like having a creche. So when he opened his first offices, he used to have a creche and childcare in the office, so people could bring their kids into work. And it just did so many things like that. So that was really inspirational. And then one thing to increase energy.
One tip for living with more energy and vitality.
I mean, it's quite a broad tip, but I'd say optimizing your morning routine, having a good morning routine of just getting up, I mean, I won't go into it. There's a load of different things that different people like to fit into their morning routine, but starting the day off well is just absolutely key, I'd say.
Yeah. So are you checking your emails before you do that workout in the morning?
No, I mean, I get up and I'll have like a pint of water with some salt in it and a few other bits in it. And then that kind of wakes up my brain. And then I'll go into inspired by my old Indian next door neighbor. I go into the back garden and do a few 5-minute stretches just to kind of get out in the sunlight, barefoot in the garden, do a few stretches, limber up a little bit, get the blood flowing in the body so your body knows you've actually woken up for the day. I think it sets your circadian clock or whatever. I'm not too sure of the science there, and then I go back in and have a double espresso and then I'm ready to go after it, whether it's running, working, exercising, whatever it is.
Fantastic.
Like a morning ritual.
Superb. And the kids are well behaved and they let you do it as well. That is living the dream, Alex. So where can people sign up? I have just finished my cup of Exhale coffee right now. Where can people find out more about you?
So obviously we have our website, which is exhalecoffee.com, but the most fun place to find us and connect with us is on our Instagram, and that's where the life and soul of the business happens on our Instagram. So yeah, check us out. Your Exhale is the Instagram handle. And
just before you go, I know the question I'm going to get a lot is, because about 50% of our listeners are in the States, is it available in America?
It is available in the States.
It is.
You can't subscribe in America, but we do ship internationally, and you can buy up to 6 bags at a time in America. And so yeah, if you can live with the insane shipping costs, international shipping costs, then we do definitely sell in the States.
Great. Oh, I didn't realize that was the case. That's excellent. Good stuff. Really good to talk to you, and hopefully we can meet in person again before you head off to Portugal.
Yes, fantastic. And if not, then you're very welcome to bring your little one over and pay us a visit.
Where are you?
Record a follow-up.
Yeah.
We're going to Lagos in the Algarve, and I'm going to be 10 minutes walk away from a surfing beach. And in my heart of hearts, I'm a surfer, so I've dreamt of that for like 20 years. So
lovely.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Lovely. Where are you in London?
Well, I'm in London, like Finsbury Park, kind of Seven Sisters way. So
that's a good start. We'll come over there first, and then that'll be an hour away.
All right. Well, we're based in a climbing centre in Walthamstow, actually. So we have a couple of offices out of this bouldering centre. So yeah, come for a little climb sometime.
Great, I'd love to. Yeah. All right, brilliant. Good to talk to you, Alex. We'll speak again soon.
Wicked. Thank you. Cheers.
That is it for today's podcast. Thank you very much to Alex. And remember, you can use the code Tony Wrighton for your first bag completely free. So definitely worth trying out. I love Exhale Coffee now, and that is my coffee. And if you want to trial Exhale Coffee, go to their site, use the code Tony Wrighton, fully flexible subscription. And there's no minimum term. So if you don't like the difference, if you don't notice the difference, just cancel it. And it's for new customers only. Now, before we finish, I'm very proud to say that this podcast is partnered by Bioptimizers and Magnesium Breakthrough. And today focusing on sleep, because if you want to be healthier, the one thing you've really got to sort out is your energy during the day, get the good coffees in, and your sleep at night. At least 7 hours of quality sleep. And there's so many reasons why you might not get sleep, but one thing you might want to try if you aren't sleeping great every night is magnesium, and a good full spectrum magnesium. You don't want the cheapest synthetic forms. You want full spectrum magnesium. There's actually 7 unique forms of magnesium. You must get all of them if you want to experience the calming, sleep enhancing effect. And that is where Magnesium Breakthrough comes in. The people from Bioptimizers and Magnesium Breakthrough were at the event, the Health Optimization Summit, and it was so good to see them there. They are 2 of my favorite exhibitors at the summit and my favorite brands, full stop, as I use them every day. I use the coffee and I use the magnesium. And if you go to magbreakthrough.com/zestology, use the code zestology10, you will save 10%. That's the US site. You can use the code zestology10 on the UK site as well. And Mag Breakthrough is just something good to have in your locker all the time. Absolutely love it, and definitely helps with sleep. And a few nights ago, I didn't sleep very well, and I realized it was probably because I forgot to take the magnesium in the evening. You know, when sometimes you're so tired, you forget to take your supplements. I won't make that mistake again. magbreakthrough.com/zestology. Thank you so much to Alex from Exhale for coming on. It was really enjoyable talking to him. Every once in a while, you meet people on Zestology and you want to be their friend, and Alex is one of them. So it's great to meet him. And thank you for listening to Zestology. I'll see you next time.